What's up, guys? Heading down to a waterfall in my neighborhood right now. It just rained, so the river looks like chocolate milk, which I think is kind of cool. It's not crystal clear like it usually is, but still nice. We'll see if I can even cross the river here to get over to the other side where the waterfall is. Might be a little deep. I'm carrying all my camera equipment, so we'll see if I can get across. I gotta figure out how to get across this river with my drone, my big camera in my hand. The water's really high right now, so I gotta go up river a little bit and try to find a place. I think I can cross right there, so hopefully I don't drop this. Alright, I made it across, but now it's starting to rain. This starts pouring on me right now. It's gonna suck because I don't have any rain gear for my camera equipment, and I have to cross that river again to get back. So it's a little bit of an adventure. Looks like she found a quicker way across. This is a wild poodle. In the jungles of Costa Rica, they're all over the place, running around the rivers. Kind of a secret spot. Well, it's not that much of a secret, but no tourists really know about this spot. Just locals from around our street. Peak season's over, and the only thing is that it rains half the day every day in the afternoon, so you gotta get up early and get your stuff done early. But then you get rewarded with a fresh waterfall after the rains. All right, made it. So hopefully you guys can hear me okay. It's kind of a loud waterfall. It's not necessarily the best place to film audio-wise, but there's just too many beautiful waterfalls around here, and I wanna show you guys them. So what I'm gonna talk about today, as you noticed by the title, is how to not crash your drone. Now, even though I'm gonna teach you guys some ways to hopefully not crash your drone, I'm going to quote something first that a friend of mine named Adrian told me when I was first getting into filmmaking and getting my first drone. And what he told me is that if you fly drones on a regular basis, you're gonna crash. And especially your first drone, you're gonna crash. Now, I didn't like hearing that right after I bought my first like $1,400 drone. It was a Phantom 4 Pro back in the day, those big white ones, and I really didn't want to crash it. I didn't have a whole lot of money then, and that was a huge chunk of change for me. I wanted to do anything I could to not crash, and I happened to be going on a trip to Colombia right then, and I was bringing that big chunky drone with me, and I was really afraid that I was going to crash it. I didn't think I was actually going to even come back from that trip with it. I did get back with it. I got some amazing shots there. I didn't crash that drone until actually a year later, but I did crash it. So you can hold out for a while, but you will eventually crash. I've now crashed 5 times, I think. Actually more, but those 5 times were kind of more serious crashes. And I have lost 2 drones completely. So the other crashes, I didn't actually lose the drone, and I was still able to keep it working. The first time I crashed that Phantom, I was shooting a music video at a waterfall like this, but in California. I was getting this amazing shot of this dancer up on the cliff above the waterfall, and I was paying only attention to my phone and not looking at the drone. And I was getting this like amazing like buttery revolving shot around her. I just wasn't paying attention to what was next to me, and I ran right into the side of the cliff, and the drone fell into the river. Fortunately, it didn't go off the waterfall. It was literally like a few feet from the edge of the waterfall, but it completely submerged underwater. But I was able to get that drone back, dry it out with a hair dryer, and put it in rice for like a few days, and it worked. So I've had a few other crashes too, running into trees and, you know, like hitting a branch or something. And fortunately, most of the time in those types of crashes, you can be all right. But more recently, just actually a few weeks ago, I was down in Pavones in southern Costa Rica. It's this famous surf spot known to be one of the longest lefts in the world. I was flying out shooting some surfers with my DJI Mavic Air, but a very old one. The batteries were starting to wear out and I was having some issues with them. They were like starting to bulge and everything. And I was trying to fly back when my low battery went off. And usually, you know, you have like 20% left and you can get back normally if you're not that far away. And so I wasn't really worried, and I'm flying back from way out in the ocean, and all of a sudden it says critically low battery, and my drone just started going slowly down towards the water, and I lost it. After crashing that last drone, I started thinking about what is it that you can do to make sure that you don't crash your drone. Because I don't want to crash another drone. I probably will, but I'm going to tell you guys 5 things that you can do to not crash your drone. The first thing is to, when you're turning on your drone and you're connecting your remote, it always takes a little bit for your GPS to kick in and your home point to be recorded. Now this is probably the biggest mistake out of beginners when they're first getting their first drone. And I've heard so many stories about people's drone just magically flying away on its own and never coming back. And I always thought this was really weird because I've never had that issue. But I'm pretty sure what it is that people are not waiting for their GPS to connect fully and their home point to be recorded. This can take sometimes a few minutes in order to connect, depending on where you are. If you're out here like where I'm at in the middle of the jungle in Costa Rica, it might take a little while, and sometimes I can't even get it to connect. It usually takes at least 8 bars on your little meter on your remote. It shows you a little signal there, and it shows a little number, and the number goes up as it connects to different satellites. And you need at least 8 satellites in order for it to connect and get a home point. Sometimes I have to walk around a little bit and find a different spot to get those 8 satellites. Or what I've even needed to do when I haven't been able to get those satellites is I need to take off a little bit and get up in the air and wait in the air for a little while, because sometimes when you're on the ground and there's a lot of things around you, a lot of trees, it won't connect. But when you get up a little bit higher, it'll all of a sudden connect. But always wait until you get that GPS connected and that home point says it's been recorded before you take off. Second tip is to keep a line of sight. Now I know this isn't always going to be the case, and sometimes you want to fly way off in the middle of nowhere. I don't recommend doing that right away when you're first learning. That first crash that I did when I was at the waterfall in that music video shoot, the reason why I did it was that I wasn't paying attention to the actual drone. I was only looking at my phone, looking, you know, to get that perfect shot. But I've kind of perfected a way now where I can be looking at my controller and glancing up every once in a while to see where the drone is, to make sure that I'm not getting close to any obstacles, especially if you're flying really low. And for example, if you're shooting here, I have a lot of obstacles around me. I want to be mainly actually looking at the drone and just every once in a while looking at my phone to see what shot I'm getting. But you definitely always want to try to keep a line of sight, look between actually looking at the drone and your remote back and forth as you fly. Another thing that I actually didn't figure out for quite a while until really recently after years of flying is that it's really smart to adjust the sensitivity of your drone. And you can do that in your settings in the DJI Fly or the DJI Go app. It's different. It's in different places on both of those apps, depending on whether you have one of the newer drones or an older one. And what it's basically doing is you can adjust how sensitive your drone turns, as well as how sensitive your camera moves. Now this really helps for getting smoother shots. Your drone right out of the box usually comes with pretty kind of like abrupt movements. It's really hard to get smooth shots. So beyond this helping you to not crash, it really helps you to get really smooth cinematic shots. And what I recommend is just taking off a few feet off the ground right in front of you, go into those settings. In the DJI 4 Go app, it's under EXP settings, and you're gonna adjust the settings in there. In the DJI Fly app, it's actually under advanced gimbal settings. So it seems like it's only for the gimbal, but it's actually controls what's called your yaw, which is this movement here. And if you adjust those and kind of dampen them, so when you stop turning, it'll kind of slowly stop instead of abruptly stopping. It just makes it a lot easier to fly, and it makes it a lot easier to smoothly go around obstacles. I think since I've changed mine and really kind of dialed them into how I like to fly and how I like to shoot, it's made it a lot easier for me to fly in like close proximity to other things. So that gets me to the last tip, and that is to practice flying low and practice flying through things. Now you might think that that's a bad idea, and especially if you're a beginner, that you think you're going to run into something. But in order to really get good at flying a drone and to get comfortable to where you know you can fly around things and you know you can fly through things without running into something, you need to practice doing that a lot. And it's actually pretty easy to do that. If you just find a place in the woods where you have a nice area where you can walk between trees, and you set up your drone so it's just hovering right in front of you, and you just follow behind your drone, walking behind it, and just very slowly fly through the trees, fly around trees. You know, if you get into trouble, just stop and let the drone stop on its own. Don't try to overcorrect, and just do that a lot. Just every day for a week. You know, when you first get it, just fly low, fly through trees, and you'll start to get a hang and start to get more comfortable flying through things, which in my opinion ends up being some of the most amazing shots. And it's also why I'm so comfortable flying my drone and not usually worried about running into something anymore. Just check out this shot right here I just got last week. I actually just flew through a cave in the ocean, which was really scary and terrifying. I was actually like physically shaking after I did it. I pulled it off right after I flew through. A big wave crashed through the cave, so I had to time it just right when there was no wave. But in order to achieve shots like this, you need to practice a lot, flying really close to things, and that'll take your drone shots to the next level. So I think as long as you consider these 5 things I just talked about, you're not going to have a problem most of the time, and you will, again, to quote my friend, crash your first drone. Hopefully you won't lose it like I have, but you probably will. So start to accept the fact that you might lose a drone at some point. If you're working with your drone, which I highly recommend, I'll make another video about that, about how to make money with your drone. It doesn't matter as much because it's a business expense. And if you've made, you know, $1,400 with your drone in the last month, then you can, you know, easily buy one, or you can make a lot more than that as well. But I'll go through that in another episode. Do me a favor, guys. I'm a new channel. If you like this content, please hit subscribe on the bottom. Comment in the comment section anything you want me to talk about. If you have any questions, please feel free to write any questions in the comments, and I'll answer them as quick as I can. So I'm gonna jump in this waterfall right now. So I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.